Welcome to a brand new wave, drowning out the noise that's tame. Liberty whispers through the brave, breaking free from every chain. Nullify the rules they crave, crypto beats that pave the way. Anarchy with minds that's safe, algorithms new dawn today. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride. Beyond control we take a stand, casting off the iron brand. Freedom flowing through our hands, revolution's our command. Decentralize the way we plan, all together we expand. Breaking shackles for the clan, in this journey we're unpanned. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride.
Commies deserve free rides. Welcome to Legacy News, episode 25. I am the legacy of Jennifer and Kaiser. I'm Zachary Kaiser, your El Capitan, and welcome in to another edition for your happy Monday.
Colonel,
Hello,
do you
Andrew.
call me? Sorry, I'm in the middle of a podcast. I'll have to call you back.
I don't know if that was Alex Jones or it was supposed to be a play on for Metal Gear Solid, but you sounded like Alex Jones. Welcome to the show, Alex. Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to Colonel Campbell.
Yeah, how's Colonel Campbell doing, by the way? Isn't he dead?
He's in Tahiti with Snoop Dogg.
He's in Tahiti. I always wanted to get a Tahiti, but it was corrupted by my old I don't know, embellished leader, Dutch Vanderland.
Female song? Oh, well,
No,
that works
no,
too.
Dutch Vanderland. Yeah,
Okay.
we got to go to Tahiti, boys. Have some faith. It's all about faith. We will get to Tahiti. This is Andrew Joseph, by the way, not Colonel Campbell or Big Boss or any of the like. But that actually turns to what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something different today because we're gonna let a video game, and we have the clip, tell you the story of the realities of the world. It's quite fascinating what Metal Gear Solid captured back in the early 90s
2000.
for what's going on in the world today.
This was 2000.
Oh, yeah, 2000, excuse me. Wait, that was, yeah, it is from 2000. Regardless, from the Metal Gear Solid, or the Metal Gear games began in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. So, but this one's from 2000. So, but yeah, which game was this? Metal Gear Solid 2?
2, yeah.
Sons of Liberty?
Right.
Twin Snakes?
No, Twin Snakes is PlayStation 1 rebranded on
I know.
GameCube.
I know. I loved it. I played it on PlayStation 1 and on GameCube. I absolutely adore Twin Snakes. But yeah, Sons of Liberty is an amazing game. If you're a nerd, if you're a gamer nerd, I mean, from way back in the day, and you have yet to play Metal Gear Solid, any of the games, I would suggest playing Sons of Liberty first. Honestly,
Yeah.
I really do. It'll get you immersed into the series. It really actually kind of, I don't know, yeah, it kind of defines the series and what it will become, in my opinion. So, but with that, let's jump into it and let's talk about that.
All right. Here we go.
I will triumph over the Patriots and liberate us all, and we will become the Sons of Liberty!
Raiden, are you receiving? We're still here.
How's that possible? The AI was destroyed.
Only GW.
Who are you?
To begin with, we're not what you'd call human. Over the past 200 years, a kind of consciousness formed layer by layer in the crucible of the White House. It's not unlike the way life started in the oceans 4 billion years ago. The White House was our primordial soup, a base of evolution. We are formless. We are the very discipline and morality that Americans invoke so often. How can anyone hope to eliminate us? As long as this nation exists, so will we.
Cut the crap! If you're immortal, why would you take away individual freedoms and censor the net?
Jack, don't be silly.
Don't you know that our plans have your interests, not ours, in mind?
What?
Jack, listen carefully, like a good boy.
The mapping of the human genome was completed early this century. As a result, the evolutionary log of the human race lay open to us.
We started with genetic engineering, and in the end, we succeeded in digitizing life itself.
But there are things not covered by genetic information.
What do you mean?
Human memories, ideas, culture, history.
Genes don't contain any record of human history.
Is it something that should not be passed on? Should that information be left at the mercy of nature?
We've always kept records of our lives, through words, pictures, symbols, from tablets to books.
But not all the information was inherited by later generations. A small percentage of the whole was selected and processed, then passed on. Not unlike genes, really.
That's what history is, Jack.
But in the current digitized world, trivial information is accumulating every second, preserved in all its triteness, never fading, always accessible.
Rumors about petty issues, misinterpretations, slander.
All this junk data, preserved in an unfiltered state, growing at an alarming rate.
It will only slow down social progress, reduce the rate of evolution.
Right. You seem to think that our plan is one of censorship.
Are you telling me it's not?
You're being silly. What we propose to do is not to control content, but to create context.
Create context.
The digital society furthers human flaws and selectively rewards development of convenient half-truths. Just look at the strange juxtapositions of morality around you.
Billions spent on new weapons in order to humanely murder other humans.
Rights of criminals are given more respect than the privacy of their victims.
Although there are people suffering in poverty, huge donations are made to protect endangered species. Everyone grows up being told the same thing.
Be nice to other people.
But beat out the competition.
You're special. Believe in yourself and you will succeed.
But it's obvious from the start that only a few can succeed.
You exercise your right to freedom, and this is the result. All rhetoric to avoid conflict and protect each other from hurt. The untested truths, spun by different interests, continue to churn and accumulate in the sandbox of political correctness and value systems.
Everyone withdraws into their own small gated community, afraid of a larger forum. They stay inside their little ponds, leaking whatever truth suits them into the growing cesspool of society at large.
The different cardinal truths neither clash nor mesh. No one is invalidated, but nobody is right.
Not even natural selection can take place here. The world is being engulfed in truth.
And this is the way the world ends. Not with a bang, but a whimper.
We're trying to stop that from happening.
It's our responsibility as rulers. Just as in genetics, unnecessary information and memory must be filtered out to stimulate the evolution of the species.
And you think you're qualified to decide what's necessary and not?
Absolutely. Who else could wade through the sea of garbage you people produce, retrieve valuable truths, and even interpret their meaning for later generations?
That's what it means to create context.
I'll decide for myself what to believe and what to pass on.
But is that even your own idea?
Or something Snake told you.
That's the proof of your incompetence right there. You lack the qualifications to exercise free will.
That's not true. I have the right.
Does something like a self exist inside of you?
That which you call self serves as nothing more than a mask to cover your own being.
In this era of ready-made truths, self is just something used to preserve those positive emotions that you occasionally feel.
Another possibility is that self is a concept you conveniently borrowed under the logic that it would endow you with some sense of strength.
That's crap!
Is it? Would you prefer that someone else tell you? All right then. Explain it to him.
Jack, you're simply the best, and you got there all by yourself.
Oh, what happened? Do you feel lost? Why not try a bit of soul-searching?
Don't think you'll find anything, though.
Ironic that although self is something that you yourself fashioned, every time something goes wrong, you turn around and place the blame on something else.
It's not my fault. It's not your fault.
In denial, you simply resort to looking for another, more convenient truth in order to make yourself feel better.
Leaving behind in an instant the so-called truth you once embraced.
Should someone like that be able to decide what is truth?
Should someone like you even have the right to decide?
You've done nothing but abuse your freedom.
You don't deserve to be free.
We're not the ones smothering the world. You are.
The individual is supposed to be weak, but far from powerless. A single person has the potential to ruin the world.
And the age of digitized communication has given even more power to the individual. Too much power for an immature species.
Building a legacy involves figuring out what is wanted and what needs to be done for that goal. All this you used to struggle with. Now we think for you.
We are your guardians, after all.
You want to control human thought? Human behavior?
Of course. Anything can be quantified nowadays. That's what this exercise was designed to prove.
You fell in love with me just as you were meant to, after all. Isn't that right, Jack?
Ocelot was not told the whole truth, to say the least.
We rule an entire nation. Of what interest would a single soldier, no matter how able, be to us?
The S3 plan does not stand for solid snake simulation. What it does stand for is selection for societal sanity. The S3 is a system for controlling human will and consciousness. S3 is not you, a soldier trained in the image of solid snake. It is a method, a protocol that created a circumstance that made you what you are.
So you see, we're the S3, not you.
What you experienced was the final effectiveness.
That's crazy.
You heard what President Johnson said.
The Arsenal's GW system is the key to their supremacy.
The objective of this exercise was to establish such a method. We used Shadow Moses as a paradigm for the exercise.
I wonder if you would have preferred a fantasy setting.
We chose that backdrop because of its extreme circumstances. It was an optimal test for S3's crisis management capacity. If the model could trigger, control, and solve this, it would be ready for any contingency. And now, We have our proof. Raiden, there are also reasons behind your selection. Solidus raised plenty of other child soldiers. Do you know why we chose you over them? It was because you were the only one who refused to acknowledge the past. All the others remember what they were and pay for it daily.
But you turn your back on everything you don't like. You do whatever you like, see only the things you like, and for yourself alone.
Yes, Rose can attest to that.
You refused to see me for what I was. I lied to you, but I wanted to be caught. You pretended to be understanding, to be a gentleman. You never made a conscious attempt to reach out to me. The only time you did was when I gave you no choice but to do so.
I was just trying not to.
What? Trying not to hurt me? Dear, the one you were trying not to hurt was yourself. Avoiding the truth under the guise of kindness is all that you did. It occurred to you to do nothing but look out for yourself. Even if you claim that it was for my sake, that feeling was nowhere to be seen. In the end, everything was for your sake. I was never part of the picture.
Exactly right. So you see, you're a perfect representative of the masses we need to protect. This is why we chose you. You accepted the fiction we've provided, obeyed our orders, and did everything you were told to. The exercise is a resounding success.
Didn't I tell you that GW was still incomplete? But not anymore, thanks to you.
Your persona, experiences, triumphs, and defeats are nothing but byproducts. The real objective was ensuring that we could generate and manipulate them. It's taken a lot of time and money, but it was well worth it considering the results. I think that's enough talk. It's time for the final exercise. Raiden, take Solidus down.
Think again. I'm through doing what I'm told.
Oh, really? Aren't you forgetting something?
If you die, my child dies.
The termination of vital signals from your nanomachines means the death of Olga's child. Not to mention the death of Rose. She's wired the same way.
Rose, does she actually exist?
Of course I do, Jack. You have to believe me.
Damn!
It will be a fight to the death.
Solidus at least wants you dead.
We will collect the necessary data from this last fight. Then we'll consider the exercise closed. So, Jack the Ripper, will it be Solidus, the Patriot's creation, or you, Solidus's creation? Our beloved monsters, enjoy yourselves.
Man, talk about manipulation. That whole video is just full of it, one way or the other.
And it kind of ganders towards, my thought process has gone towards the fact that look at how life has been perpetuated in today's day and age, and the rise of our digital footprint, the advancement in technology with the structure of the internet, then for which was given to us as a free reign, and now a consolidation of that free reign into a central core. Censorship is key. Social media has been on the rise as we begin to express, but our ideas and our grievances onto a public platform, but yet it's constructed in a way to where certain controls are put in place. Are we living in a simulation? Was this a universal plan all along? I've wrote up some questions actually looking at this. So, and the key that I put was at the very beginning. It's not about control of content, but to create context and to go put your tinfoil hat on, everybody. What is it to the supposed now defunct Operation Mockingbird, even if it officially didn't actually go into operation. What is the main key to the CIA's Operation Mockingbird?
I mean, really, I'm sure there's a finite amount of fuel you can use for foundational myths, and they're trying to spark up one that they can revitalize their image and build and give them purpose for God knows how long. I think that's part of the question, the answer to your question there.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. To provide a foundational myth. Well, I mean, you can look back into how how did this country, how was it created? Why was it created? You can also go back to the premise of today, the narrative, the official media narrative of the day, and our HDH or our ADHD atmosphere. I mean, it's just all over the place. Right now, we have moved to the immigration issue. So, what is the foundational myth up on immigration at this moment, and why are we? What's the deal with that?
I think that's one of the moving pieces of Trump, quote unquote, is trying to, like I said, create a foundational myth. I mean, you was talking about the CIA before, but that's a different. This is our society, liberal, conservative. There's two different weights here, and one's trying to create a success. I think they're competing for dominance. One is going to have a successful foundational myth. The other one's going to be lost throughout history, right? Just like political parties die out all throughout history, like the Whig Party, for example, right? And right now,
or the Democrats for its first iteration. I mean, they're still called the Democrats, but the Democrats of today are not the Democrats of yesteryear.
Yeah, it's a strain, right? And the modern Democrats, they've run out of fuel for them to sustain their existence, and they're in shambles.
Oh yeah, they are in shambles considering that they just elected David Hogg as their vice chair of the National Committee. That's that they're cooked. They're cooked. Beyond that, that's a totally different scenario. All of you people on Twitter argue about it, bitch and moan about it, troll about it. I don't really care about David Hogg and the Democratic National Committee and the chair. I don't care about the LP, and they actually just elected their national chair, which Michael Heiss was defeated pretty handedly. But that goes to my next question. In this all aspiring society that we live in with a humongous digital footprint and a lot of manipulation that comes to it, people don't necessarily, it doesn't seem like people really truly think for themselves. And it comes to my next question that I came on because they discussed free will. So it's a two-parter. What is truth exactly? And do we really have, it's actually a three-parter, and do we really have free will? And what exactly is the self?
Well, let's go to the first question. I think you can look into psychological frameworks like the Enneagram personality, and it shows that we may have resources, like as a person, to lean into and to control and use to get ahead, but we don't have all of them. We have bits and pieces of the other ones, and that's what really motivates and helps you move forward in life. Is you leverage those, and these aren't like the good parts of you. These are the worst parts of your personality, and that's just how you lean it, how you build. And it's just about how effective you can be with what you're building to move forward. No, what was the second question?
So that would be so that is truth. It's basically your truth can be different from another person's truth effectively. So there
Yeah.
is no morality. Morality is subjective then. This idea of moral objectivity is a fallacy because you can believe that something is true or something is right in your own mind and somebody else can believe a different scenario, like you could believe that murder is right. Another person could say, well, you can't take a life. So we're kind of clashing between cultures, and that's causing for a decadent disaster upon our societal structure, it seems. But to go to the second question and to stick on to that level of moral subjectivity slash objectivity and the difference, do we really have free will in that case? If we can be
Um,
manipulated through other
like I said,
cultures or
it's fractured, and you lean into one way or the other about whichever fix, quote unquote, a core that you lean into emotionally. For what you're if you're going to manage your behavior, you're gonna go down the road. I'm going to be a moral Christian person, a religious person. I'm trying not to be corrupted, or I know I'm corrupt, so I'm going to use that corruption for it's a pivot. I'm going to use that corruption for good or for bad, and try to push other people to be, less corrupt. Or you don't really care. You just want to try to get along with everybody. That's the power aspect of the
so
Enneagram.
what you're saying. So I'm gonna try to define that answer then. So what you're saying is there's really no free will. There are people on this planet that are effectively soulless. I'm going a little new age on this. They're effectively soulless, which means they are in fact NPCs that can be swayed, and that there are only a few of us on this planet that have some basis of a soul, some basis of a conscience that actually has that choice within that's pulling us within the energies of the universe to make decisions that are good and evil. And it is with that of how you utilize the manipulation tactic to sway, to persuade people to your side, whether it's for good or whether it's for evil. So there is good versus evil, but not every individual has free will. They can be easily persuaded and manipulated to abide by two sides of the same coin, good versus evil. And there's only a few of us on this planet that are consciously aware because we actually do have a soul. And the rest of us, the rest of humanity, might actually be soulless NPCs.
Well,
They're
I
just
don't.
worker beasts. They're husks.
That's a good way to think about it, but it's incomplete because it depends on the people that you're around. Um, if say you're 4, right, Enneagram 4, you're driven by intense shame, and Enneagram 2 is the helper. They're intense, driven by intense pride. When they're separate from each other, they really don't have an inner monologue. It's the closer they get, the more pressure that they put on each other, the louder the monologue becomes, from my perspective. So it's all about the energy and the interaction that you have with the person in question.
Well, you pretty much just answered the third question of that three-parter, which is what is the self? So you pretty much answered it right then and there. So I'm gonna move on. Um, so with that, are humans individually, from what you're distinctly saying is we all have a pattern within our individual selves of how we act, how we interact, who persuades us, and where we what our pathway can be and will be for how we
Be
create
successful as a person,
exactly.
or if you go down the wrong path,
Hmm.
it's just a path to destruction. They call it oxidative stress.
Yeah, yeah. So, but as a collective, it seems that we're we're pretty ingrained in that collectivist ideology, sadly. And I think that has a lot to do with manipulation of the factor of a few that are more consciously aware to their surroundings and utilizing their own intelligences to defer towards the population to move between different sides, different angles. So, is humanity collectively ignorant?
I believe, from my perspective, we've been stumbling around in the dark for a long time, but we're getting better.
Are we?
I mean, we're putting
MAGA
pressure on
exists.
each other. We're putting pressure on each other not to use nuclear weapons against each other. I mean, that's something that could count for something.
That could just be the
Mutual aid.
Anunnaki. That could just be the Anunnaki whispering into our governments of the world, all of our political leaders of the world, saying these nukes are not for you to destroy each other. We need you to build an amass armada of weaponry and advance them and train on them and be ready because something big is happening in the future. Somewhere down the road, there's going to be a galactic infusion of us pesky little humans finally finding out that there's more to the galaxy, to the universe than just we're special. So I mean that's where my mind's going. So that
Yeah.
could be the reason why
I mean,
we have
that was
it's not mutually assured destruction in my opinion. It has more to do with there are other forces at hand making sure that our governments don't annihilate the entire planet because there is a perpetual end goal to the reason why we have nuclear weapons.
well, I mean, it was low hanging fruit. I think it's self evident, but I mean, someone could have said it. Might as well be me. But I mean, that's just one example.
I come at this from a
It's
man who has looked much into the ancient astronaut theory and want to absorb and try to figure out, is there more than just human beings on planet Earth
Well, think about the
killing each
video. They're talking about genetic engineering. I mean, that's not progress.
That is progress. I mean, actually, I'm going to push back on that too. I mean, genetic engineering. I mean, if you look into
I'm
the
not.
ancient astronaut theory and the Anunnaki, our genome was manipulated and spliced with other genomes, and they wanted to create a perfect servant race. And then, of course, you go into the biblical, which actually takes root to the Sumerian text, with the battle between Enki and Enlil, the brothers, for which Enki saw more. He foreshadowed a more of a larger footprint for what humanity could give, and so he sided with humans. He granted them knowledge, and that is your tree of forbidden truth and knowledge. And Enlil is the tree of life. I mean, you stay away from truth and knowledge. You are what you are, and you will obey, and you will be our servants, and you will mine the gold. You get to mine the resources that we need on our home world that we need to send back. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, so that's my mindset. That's my thought process. There's
I
so much that you can dive into the Christian mythos, the Judeo-Christian mythos, the Islamic mythos, even the Buddhist and Hindu mythos, kind of coincide with the old Sumerian text, and we have evidence on the fact, especially specifically with like the Epic of Gilgamesh, the world saw a great flood. There's evidence all across the world, evidence both in ruins that are underwater, and there are evidence of many different flood myth stories from many different cultures that are no longer here or still amongst us, specifically with Judeo-Christianity and Islam, with the Abrahamic religions, with the Great Flood and Noah. So, I mean, it all could coincide together. So,
Good.
but with that, one final question, Andrew,
Okay.
and this is going to go spiritual, technological, political, philosophical. Is there a universal plan?
I think
And
it
if
may be
so, go ahead.
a frame. I believe there's a framework. I don't see why they couldn't have, different. It's like I was talking about earlier. Enneagram personality. We all have certain parts that we're really good at. Is you go into economics, right? To talk about, France and Germany back in the 1600s, how they had strengths and weaknesses, and instead of fighting each other for total control, that they should leverage that and cross pollinate, right? I
And
mean,
yeah, they did leverage it, but they also did fight.
yeah. Well, I know that. I'm just using it per example.
Yeah. Well,
Religion, right?
we do have. Speaking of the economic idea in France, Britain, the European powers and the expansion economically across the globe in the 17th, 18th century, we have a philosophical pursuit of that. He would call himself a moral philosopher, not an economic or not an economist, everybody. But we have Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, as well as the Invisible Hand. So you kind of have you hit the nail right there into the coffin. Go on, religion.
I was just saying, who's to say that it can't be the same type of framework for religion, where there's particular, core values that they leverage their right on, and then everything's flawed. Who's to say this is just slowly integrating and motivating different parts of society around the world to flesh out those flaws and maximize the potential of the things that they're great on, and then contribute that to a bigger picture down the road. I mean, we have the World Wide Web. Why can't we, integrate these different things across the country or across the world and
We can.
continually evolve?
We can. It's called the blockchain.
Right. A hyper ledger. Here we go.
There you go. So, anything else that you'd like to delve into as we close out, Andrew? Going with this
No, I
clip
mean,
from Metal Gear Solid.
I love Metal Gear Solid, man. That's a great game. But
I do too.
I definitely, I'm thinking about replaying the series, but they're coming out with
Same here.
Delta here next year, which I'm looking forward to.
Speaking of that, I'm about to break out the Xbox one of these days if I get some time, and because I have the remember when the HD collection came out, so I do have I have all of the major games with that, so I'm about ready to break out Sons of Liberty and replay it. There you go. You got Xbox One though, yeah. He moved
Series
up. I
X.
still have a 360, but I'm about to break it out so I can play through. I kind of want to play through Sons of Liberty. So, but it's quite intriguing what a video game such as Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. It was 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that it's weird. It really wasn't the second game, but it was the second game in the Metal Gear Solid series. But yeah, it's amazing how video games can tell a story, and we need to do more of this, though, because honestly, I could probably find you clips that can give you the heart of the philosophical. And we just did a show with Rachel Sunshine and Saudi Agoras for our regular weekly episode on the ethics of anarchy. Now, we went into more detail, more other topics, but we stayed pretty much. I think we stayed pretty much on the realm of the ethics of anarchy, and we could go further into that by playing through or showing clips of the playthrough and the cutscenes of Red Dead Redemption and GTA. I'm serious. Rockstar is like a grand scale game to actually look into the ethics of anarchism, specifically Red Dead and Red Dead 2. in my opinion. So, and what are the cons? What are the pros? What are the cons? So
let's play BioShock.
Yeah, BioShock is another one, dude. Another one. Really. I mean, the advent of what status dystopia might lead to and the gobbling up of humanity as humans. I mean, video games, books, movies, they can tell you a story and they can define the realities of a lot. It's amazing that you can find that. So, we should definitely do more of this. I think so. Leave a like, leave a comment, and join this conversation, everybody. Make sure that to subscribe at the Legacy Right, both on YouTube and Rumble. Check us out, and let's dive more into this, man, because this was a lot of fun, and this kind of it's a little eye opening. So let's dive into the philosophy of everything instead of the black pill of politics.
Snake.
No! Peace out, everybody.
Thanks for
Live
watching.
long and prosper.